Okay, I don't want to talk about this tran situation, right? Because I thought it's just stupid. Somebody was on the news saying, "Oh, because of UK law saying a biological woman is a woman, etc." Right? We're gonna have to be put up with so much slaves. I'm like, what? You're acting as if you're like you're in a war-torn country, and your lives, you're dying every day, and you're getting taken hostage and stuff like that. You just said slurs. Well, it's 2025. People have been putting up with slurs, right, for over 50, 60, 70 years in this country, right? And a hell of a lot more than that, right? Fighting, beating, stabbings, whatever like that, right? You're going to identify as whatever you want, right? That's your business, right? But people have to stop enabling it, like the people higher up. Like there's a man. You know why I say he's a man? Because he's a man, right? In America, they're gonna put him in a woman's jail, probably because he doesn't want to get bombed in the ass by male prisoners, right? Simple as that. So he says, "I identify as a woman." The least you could do, right, is put on, make an effort, put on some woman's clothes, put on a lipstick. But no, this man and his parents, right, obviously, right, who are just as daft as him, right, is trying to say that I identify as a woman and I want to be in a woman's prison, and I'm like, stop enabling this kind of BS. And I tried to apply for a course. I was just inquiring about. It's a data analyst course, right? More like anal cyst course, right? Basically, what it is, right, is only available for females. So I says okay, but then when I look further down, but it says if you identify as a female, we can accept you. And I'm like, well, what does that even mean? If I identify as a female, why don't you just give it for males anyway? Because in the end of the day, right, half the men don't even have to prove that they are females. They just say I am, and that's it. Therefore, I am. That's a stupid. In this country, in the UK, there's one. I don't know if who. I don't know if it's our health minister. If it is, then that's more ironic because for you to say I agree with you if you identify as a llama, does that mean I have to come in eating grass? I don't know what. Yeah, llamas eat grass, whatever they eat, right? I don't have to prove that I can eat leaves or grass or live outside or in the barn or anything like that. I just said I identify as a llama, and I'm like, why are they just? I can't say to you, I have a lot of, full head of hair. Well, I don't, so it's facts. Why the hell are facts like? If you go to court, right? Hello, William Montgomery. Hello, Thane. So if you go to court, right, they're gonna arrest you. You have to go for the evidence. Did this guy do this? Blah blah blah. Where's the proof in that, right? So it's the same as this, right? If you're a trans, right, it's Beetlejuice. Yes, Beetlejuice. Thank you. Basically, if you're a trans, is the evidence simple as that? You know what I mean? Show down below what's going on. Simple as that, man. Beetlejuice 2 back, and I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Like those so-called stars that went up in the sky. All of a sudden they're astronauts. Why? Because they sat in an empty room, and that apparently went up for 11 minutes and then came back within that kind of time. I don't understand what that even says. That even means, because you can't just say I'm an astronaut, because those people who are actual astronauts, what do? They went through all sorts of training, and I can't remember that lady's name, the one that says that we're not, what is drivers, or I don't know what she says, basically, right? Because we were there only for 11 minutes, we're not classed as astronauts. Simple as that, right? Well, at the end of the day, those people have done years of training before they went in a shuttle. And what about those people that were stuck for, was it 9 months? These people were there for like 11 minutes. It's like, I think they were with the Amazon dude's missus, because if anything went wrong, she's got the amount of plastic she's got in her body. They could probably use that to get back as a float or something like that. So, for the trajectory, it'd be crazy. Simple as that, if something went wrong. But I can't even imagine those people who went up in the sky, right, putting their lives at risk to go to space for 11 minutes, you know what I mean? So, I don't really think that was, you're damn right, you know what I mean? Basically, I don't even think that thing was real, to tell you the truth. You're risking, you're trying to tell me you're gonna risk getting out. Yes, did you see the door already open as well? I'm sure when he went to the door, it was already open, and he acted like the door was like he was trying to open the door or something like that. I go, hold up, what the hell is all that about? And when those real astronauts came down, they landed in the water. There's a reason why they land in water. They don't land on the bloody ground for a reason, and I'm sure that. And these people, I don't know, like I didn't see any kind of singe or burn mark, or I don't know if like I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't even watch any of it to tell you the truth. I just watched whatever snippets on news. Right? How long did they get? Like when those real astronauts came down and they crashed into the sea, and you could see that that was like fire on those things, right? In the atmosphere when they come there, right? It probably did, basically. And I was just like, I don't know, like Katy Perry, why are you kissing the ground for? In the end of the day, I don't even think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even think I think she's like acted like, we gotta act like we were left the planet, the actual planet. If you're out in the sky, why are you spending most of the time looking at each other, talking to each other, showing whatever is on your keyring, than actually looking at the at planet Earth from all the way wherever the hell you were, basically. Yeah, there you go. Astronauts do go. Yeah, that's right. They're going straight. Man, actually, when those astronauts came down, the ones that were stuck for 9 months, right? I saw all how they were like. They didn't just walk out the bloody door. They was like, like you said, they were on stretches. They had like all this stuff on them. But, like they didn't just walk out and say, oh, thank you very much, we'll do the rest from here. No, they had to make sure that they were fine and, everything's okay. I mean, come on, that much in space, it could cause, I don't know, all sorts of stuff, basically, pressure, whatever, like that, man. But these, like, Katy Perry's like, okay, I'm surprised she didn't do a concert while she was in there, saying, I kissed a few girls and I liked it or something like that, I identify as a ass, yes. I don't know about Tronaut, I mean? They identify as a bunch of asses, that's what they do. And you're trying to tell me, they, because to be an astronaut, you need to know where you're going, how you're getting back, maths, all that business, all that NASA stuff, right? What the hell did they know? You know what I mean? Basically, right? All I know is that's it, Lauren Sanchez. I think that's her name, isn't it? Mr. Amazon rainforest fiance. With all the plastic inside her. I think that's the reason why she went, because they thought, what, we could always hold on to her, right, and brace for impact, because the amount of plastic and cushion that she could do, right, in case we do crash. We'll just use her as a base, and we can crash land on her face or something like that. Because I'm sure her lips would, cushion the impact, something like that. Oh, by the way, has anybody been watching this guy? This magician, Chris Anal, he calls himself, or something. I just saw this trick. This guy was doing a trick, and I was like, "Who's this magician?" I've spelled it wrong, but then he says it's Chris Anal. He calls himself, but I don't want to spoil it for you. If you ever see the guy, right, watch him. What he does, he's a funny magician. On the YouTube, Chris Anal, he calls himself, right, and yes, he's a funny little dude. You should give that a shot. And let me know what you think. And this, no, I just can't get over that idiot that wants to go into. He's like a big guy, basically, right, who identifies as a woman, and he wants to go to a woman's prison. Where's your high heels, lipstick, slap on an earring? Do something to say that, man. And then this course that data analyst, we don't accept male for this course unless you identify as a female. Then we accept you. Then why don't you just do the both anyway? Because at the end of the day, if I don't have to prove that I am a female, and you can accept me anyway, and I don't have to wear, that I don't know. I know the Pope passed away. Have they chosen him yet? The new Pope. I was watching the news, and I saw, I think it was 4 or 5 of them, and obviously I think if you hear about the history of the people, of the popes, then that should help you decide who should be the next pope in charge in line. Simple as that, And I don't know much about I think I heard about some of the popes, that are like on the running, Are they betting on that? I bet they'll gamble on that as well. They'll gamble on anything, basically, like how long is a piece of string or some stupid stuff like that, right? Who's going to be the next pope or something like that? They have like a few of the popes, basically. Pope should be just the Pope, whatever, who's a good person, simple as that. I don't know much about any of those upcoming popes. I think I would like to, like, what they say on legacy media. I don't know, basically, yeah. Man, you know what? Why don't they put the trans with the trans to fight the trans? So the men who identify as women and the women who identify as men or whatever, right? Put them fighting with each other, then that'll teach them both. They're both, or the trans get the trans knocked out of them. Simple as that. You're gonna transform into this, and transform into that. Why are you? You know what? Fighting is a different thing. When you get knocked on, have you ever seen those videos when a woman tries to pick up a fight with a guy, and the guy just gives her one knock and she's lying on the floor, and then she's like crying and bleeding and all that kind of stuff. It's like, obviously, well, what did you expect? XY, XX, that's it. If you got XX or XY in your chromosome and you say identify as that, prove it then. Give me your DNA and tell me that it is right. And stop walking around with a cucumber between your legs, because at the end of the day, right, that ain't right. You know what I mean? That's what a woman is. If you don't know what a woman is, even though you came out a woman, right, then you have lost the plot. And the people have to stop enabling it. The prime ministers, like in this country, our prime minister in the UK actually thinks that men can have a uterus. Now, I don't know which college or uni or school or whatever he went to, right? But I think he needs to go back again. I think he's older than, like, he's probably 50, whatever, like that. But he needs to go back to school and know the difference between a man and a woman. Man, imagine biology in this day and age. What the hell are they teaching? Did you hear about this? I think it was a trans talking about butt plugs. What the fuck are you talking about butt plugs to kids in school? They don't even know what a butt plug is. They don't even know what a normal plug is, and you're telling them what a butt plug is. You know what I mean? I think the parent was there, and the parent should have said, you know what? If you're gonna teach my kids about butt plugs, right, I'm gonna bend you over and show them what butt plugs are used for, right? But that person probably say, okay, go ahead with it, right? Because that's just, that's just daft. It's like, that shouldn't have nothing. You don't smoke until you're 16 in some countries or whatever. You can't do this until that. So why are you teaching all that crazy ass stuff to people that are way younger than that, right? And they shouldn't even be. They're supposed to be doing finger painting or whatever the hell they do at schools, right? And I don't know what the hell they're teaching these kids in school. But this generation, that's why I think these upcoming generations are kind of losing the plot. They don't know what's on because they're getting confused. I mean, the books that I've gone through, I read about children's books that I don't even believe it, until I actually want to see it and read it myself and see if it was that wasn't a joke, that is actual real. Basically, I think there was a book about a tranny or something like that, trans, whatever you call it, basically, right? But you know what? I think women who want to compete in men's, men who say I identify as a woman, so I want to be in this sport. They only want to do that because they know they came last in the men's sport, so they think that, okay, we're gonna come first in the women's sport, and then obviously, fine. That's, even if you come first, I still ain't gonna acknowledge that you won anyway. I'm just gonna pretend that you don't exist. Simple as that. You're on the wrong side, right side, left side, wrong side, whatever they're doing. I don't know, man. It's completely off the bloody. They lost the plot. Simple as that. And I still don't believe in that bloody astronaut bloody thing. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it right. I might have to watch the video just to see. I mean, it's probably a bit of editing or something like that. If there's a cut, right, then there's something about that cut. They always used to say about the moon landing was faked. How many years ago, right? You trying to tell me in 2025 that bloody billionaire, he can't fake them going to space or whatever like that. He probably just like he probably got like some director or whatever like that and says, oh yeah, you did this movie. Could you do this nowadays? It's. And even so, what are you trying to prove? That they went to space and that they come down even more stupid than they were. Should have just like did what you did with the other astronauts. When Biden was there, just leave them there for another 9 months. That would have been nice. If that was the only reason why you sent them, and maybe you should have like I think there's an old movie called Lost in Space where I think the baddie does something with the electronics and something goes wrong. Simple as that, and then. That would have been so hilarious that if they went there and then it malfunctioned and then they were stuck there for like 9 months because obviously, what is it? Trump would have said, well, I'm not going there. I never spent money for them to go up there. I never told them. Send what's his name to do it, or get NASA to bring them back. At the end of the day, they don't support me, so I'm not going to bloody bring them back. Simple as that. It's not bloody worth it. So the sun's out. Gonna go out check those cats. These cats, they're a bit like I don't know. I'm not. I think they're phoning each other. Because every time I go out, right, I'm like, I don't know you. I've never seen this cat before. Where's this cat come from? Have you seen this rapping? There's this rapping about this. There was these guys, right, and they were rapping with meow meow. When I say that, I mean they were actually going meow 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 meow, meow, and I'm like, gee, it just reminds me of that kid that says he identifies as a cat while he was driving, and the copper says, "Okay, if you identify as a cat, I'm gonna go call and that's your handler. You shouldn't be behind the wheel. I'll go call the RSPCSA or the vets or something like that. Animal control. And I rate that copper for saying that because okay, does you want to play with it? We're gonna play like that." And he was going right down the hill, and he says, "Okay, I'm gonna have to get you injected, maybe even get you euthanized. Not euthanized. I meant spayed or neutered. That's what he said. Simple as that." And I thought, yeah, that was funny. So anyway, and yeah, like I was saying about these cats, right? It, I don't know why people who say they can identify as animals and this and that, because in the end of the day, you're human beings. There's a reason you're not a bloody animal. Stop. People, politicians, all these in power have to stop enabling that stuff. I don't know why. I mean, what's his name? Tim Walz. His daughter, oh my God, the whole family have lost the plot. You know what I mean? Bloody hell. Bed mats. I don't know what the hell people actually is that thing, when you got pica. Because I think I saw something, when people eat dodgy things like nails and soap and all that kind of stuff, man. I mean, eating bed mat and lamps. If you're eating a lamp, I mean, like, if I run out of electric, could I flick him on or something like that, and the lamp would come up, or he'll have his light on or something like that? Because I don't know, I mean, now that you said that, I'm gonna check out that, man. Eating bed mats and lamps. If they had that thing that when you, in your body you got pica, which means that you eat, and there was a guy, I think they did his body, and he had, I don't know, 1,000. You know what I mean? What? A man marry his car. Did you know in India, I think there was a man who married his frog? Did you know about that one? I mean, a man marrying his car. Okay, I'll have to check that out. But I saw the one about the guy marrying a frog. I'm like, how the hell can he marry a frog? You know what I mean? Basically, right? Because in the end of the day, right? What if that frog decides to just hop off, hop away, and then, what are you gonna do? Is the frog gonna, sign it with his, or is he just gonna say, "Do you take the frog?" And the frog goes, "Rip it," or maybe he's trying to say, "Rip it." Rip the agreement, simple as that, rip it, And the guy marrying his car, I guess there's many holes he can have fun with it in that car. You got his exhaust, but I don't know, if you can put that exhaust and suck it or blow. As simple as that, But maybe, I think maybe the thing is right. The carbon monoxide has got to his head, and then maybe he's just, hallucinating a lot of stuff, and he's thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm in love with you, basically, right? Because any guy who can, and if somebody allows that, if somebody give him a, I'm going to check that on YouTube. If somebody gave the guy a certificate, right, the person that gave him a certificate, right, needs their head examined, and I think it was Trump that also said about the guy that was says that I identify as a woman and I want to go to a woman's prison, right, basically, right. Um, yes, that's what I'm saying. He thought a lovely business. Imagine he kissed the frog or did worse with the frog, and the frog becomes a princess and he becomes a frog. That would be funny. The both get swapped, right? And he's like, "This is gonna keep happening, Every time we kiss each other, I go back to this, and you revert to that." Yeah. In the end of the day, it was funny because I was like, because in India sometimes they have this fire in the middle and they walk around the fire. I'm like, that's not a good thing to have around if it's a frog or something like that. Reincarnated my ass. In the end of the day, right? I don't know why you think something's gonna become reincarnated as a frog, right? And what makes you think that frog is whoever the hell it is that you thought it was? Simple as that. Unless the frog, used to communicate with you like that, like repeat, or or repeat. Basically all the words like the frog. My wife used to say the same thing every time I used to say anything. She said repeat, or like if I come with the bill, she said repeat. So and then I saw this frog, and he was saying the same thing, and he was dressed in green, just like my wife used to be dressed in green as well. So obviously, I thought, yes, that was basically that has to be my wife. You know, bloody hell! Imagine him, right, getting a lift with the guy with the car. You know, he's like, "How you doing? Where's your wife?" But you know what I mean. So we're driving your wife. Yes, we are, my friend. You know what I mean. Okay, here's my wife, Froggy McFrog Frog. You know, basically, Hopper or whatever you want to call her. Not Dennis Hopper, someone else, basically, right? Um, yes, exactly. You know what I mean? By stick a what is it? Like a barbecued up. It's basically right. It's cooked. You know what I mean? Might as well. Imagine they're in France. Oh my God. French people. I'm surprised they don't start like because I know they like their frogs' legs and their escargot snails. So get in the escar and go. Simple as that, right? That maybe that's what it was. Maybe the guy who made his car was a French guy, and he goes, "Oh, I always heard of escargot. So, Juju, habla español." And basically, the guy in the car, who says, "Oh yes, I wanted to get him." Someone said, "Get in the S car and go." So I have a S car, and I thought let's just both become one. It's as simple as that. I mean, the French, the snails and the cream, and the butter, and all that kind of stuff, right? And I don't know why the hell would you eat snails or something like that. I always think, some slimy ass, crappy, okay, maybe and some countries like in Asia when they eat crickets and all that kind of stuff, right? But when you're in a country where you got access to chickens and stuff, and you know what got me the other day? There was somebody on YouTube in Tesco, and they were blocking the path, so people just want to do the shopping. I hate protesters, right, that are in those places. Like, hold up, why aren't you outside the factories that create those chickens? Not create those chickens. Have you heard when they apparently they massacre, they kill the baby chicks that are male? And I'm like, that makes no sense. All those chickens that could have been chickens, right? Basically, you're just gonna just kill them because they're not laying eggs or something like that. In the end of the day, right? You could have just grown them up, right, and just given them. You could feed the whole planet, man, with the amount of chickens that they keep bloody killing and all that, the baby chicks. I don't know how they separate it, but I did see that, and I thought that's just crazy. So why aren't these protesters over there? Why aren't they saying, "Oh, those baby chicks are getting killed"? Why are they in Tesco? What's Tesco gonna do? Tesco's only going to refill the fridges. What I mean? At the end of the day, the guys coming here, the people, the customers are spending their money to buy the food. Fine, yeah. But the protesters are there to stop them buying certain food. There was one guy, he said something like to a woman, she had a child with her. He goes, "Oh, I bet your baby tastes nice." And she was like, "What did you say?" He goes, "Well, if chicken tastes like nice, then your baby must." So it's not that. Nah, man. First of all, they're two different things, right? Her baby's not in the fridge. You know what I mean? That chicken is already gone through its days and it's in the fridge, right? And not many people go around eating babies, right? You know what I mean? So what are you trying to say? Protesters, I think they're a bit all there in yeah, I know. Something, I'm going to tell you something. I once worked at, what was it? I think it was Ross Foods. Ross Foods, where they make chicken nuggets. And I never wanted to work in a factory ever again because of that. There was this room, where you get all these, you get your chicken and they cut it and they do all that stuff. So, all the leftovers. They had this one room, and I didn't know what that room was for. It's a small. This is a long time ago, right? Basically, it's a small room, and they put all the nasty leftover crap, put it all in that room, right? And they scrunch it together, and then they make nuggets out of it, right? And I told my friend about that, right? So he didn't believe me, so I got him a job because he was with the agency. So my friend, he says, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're talking shit." When he saw that, he goes, "Bally," he goes, "I'm never eating nuggets or anything from Ross Foods ever again." Now, this was many years ago, so if it says on there nuggets are made from chicken, then Jamie Oliver is also a liar because in the end of the day, right? He may say it's this and that, right? But in the end, you know what? Jamie Oliver is a nasty cook. I saw him cook something, right? I think it was a chicken curry. The man put peanut butter, he put jam, he put fish sauce in a chicken curry, right? And I thought, what are you, you know what? I think he got confused. You know how you got ingredients for a dish? I think bone gristle. Okay, so there you go then. You know how you get ingredient. You get allergens. there's the 14 allergens, right? I think he got confused and he thought those were the ingredients. So he was putting all the allergens in the curry, right? He put peanuts. And I'm like, oh my God, who are you making this for? Are you trying to get somebody like to find out, is there someone that you don't like and you just trying to, target them, or you don't know if they're allergic or they're allergic to something and you forgot? The man put fish sauce, the peanut butter, yeah, peanuts as well. If you want peanut butter, what are you putting peanuts for? I don't know. This guy is a bit, I think he's just like, you know what? Oh, I'm in my kitchen. All the cameras on me. Yes, I tell you what I'll do. I'll just improvise. I can do the same. I'll be downstairs. I go, yes, I have a bit of tape and tie in here and a little bit of paint here. I think yeah, a bit of bone gristle as well. Basically, I remember back in the day they used to boil the bones for the dogs when they used to give them dog food and all that kind of stuff. That's why when they used to poop, used to turn grey. That's what I've been told. You know what I mean, basically. So I think it might be the similar thing. How they boil down the bones and they do all that kind of stuff. And I think that's why I think they've changed the diet and all that. A curry cake. Oh my lord. I'm gonna check that out. Thank you, motivational. I'll check that out. I've been watching Johnny Somali lately. I mean, I don't mean him. I mean legal mindset. He was talking about how Johnny Somali said he's gonna inject him with the HIV, or I don't know, some stupidness. That Somali, that's Johnny Somali said something like, I have been with so many Korean girls, right? And I'm like, if you think, unless Hank identifies as a woman, that's the only Korean girl you've been with. Simple as that, right? Because I don't believe anything. Nobody would want to, with the amount of media publicity you've been getting all over that country. What makes you think that they're gonna want anything to do with your ass anyway? And I don't even think he's gonna have fun leaving his property. You know what I mean? I don't. I hope not, man. If you're saying it's a trending thing, I'm gonna check it out. But you know what? I don't even want to know what a curry cake is. Do you know what I saw the other day? I think it was in Tesco. They had some disgusting thing, man. I think it was like a patty or a pasty, and it had curry or something, like Bombay spinach or something. No, it wasn't that one. It was something. It's like something shouldn't exist for a reason. Every time you have an idea, right? Just try it on yourself. Don't just think, what? The people are consumers that buy anything. You know what I mean? Because I tried something. It was not nice. Chicken and mushroom pie, beef and potato, whatever you name it, I don't mind. But don't put a curry in a pie. And if there's a curry cake, Jamie Oliver would be on it. You know what I mean? I'll tell you now, he would be on that. He'd put stick a couple of candles in it, right? And he'd say, yes, this is my new and informed curry cake. Simple as that, right? Curry cake shouldn't even bloody exist. Simple as that. In India, if you give them that, they'd probably throw it in your face. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I know they want to like technology. That's fine. You want to make a doorbell with a camera, fine. But you don't want to make a cake with a curry in it. You know what I mean? The last thing I want to do is have a cake and then I'm biting a piece of chicken. That just maybe the curry cake identifies as a cake, or the curry or the cake identifies as a curry. Maybe that's what it is. That's pretty what you can do nowadays. You could just say the most dumbest shit, right, and say, yes, my cake identifies as a curry, but because I don't want to confuse anybody, I'm going to call it a curry cake. I mean, geez, man, I don't even want to know what the hell a curry cake is. You was on about that bone gristle, right? Making a bone gristle with a cake, that would be just like, you know what? We start talking about this, someone's gonna say, you know what, that's a great idea. And there was this woman, and I can't remember her name. I think it was what's his name? Is it Uncle Johnny? I think he did a video on her last year where she was cooking rice and she never put no water in it. I said, this can't be real. No fucking way is this woman that fucking daft. She gave it to her son. You cannot, even me as a child, I knew, right, ketchup and barbecue making burgers. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Nice and simple, innit? You know what I mean? Just put ketchup, and you know what? I used to work at a place, right? And for the jacket potatoes, they used to stab the shit out of it, wrap it in cling film, stick in the microwave, right? For about about 30, 40 minutes or something like that. Because obviously, the more potatoes, the more time you need it. So then they take it out, they put it in the oven for like a couple of minutes before the customer would want it. Simple as that. It's not as simple as that. Well, it is for them in a way, because they're not having a proper jacket potato. Sure, the shortcut in it and all that kind of stuff. But if you can have a jacket potato, you want a nice, crispy, soft jacket potato, right? And I've seen they used to do that with steaks. You know what? I've never had a T-bone steak. I saw a tomahawk steak. I've seen T-bone steaks. My favorite steak when I used to work in the hotel is the mistake. That's a joke. So basically, if my head chef used to make a steak and the customer said that's not how I wanted it cooked, it'll come back and the chef used to say, "Bally, do you want this?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." You know what I mean? Have I what? They used to. I've only had a fillet steak, but I've never had a T-bone steak, and I used to see that go. That looks like a sirloin and a fillet, and with the bone in the middle. And I used to think that was so nice. One day I would try one of them. I mean, like I'd probably have to work my way up to. No, wait, camel. No, actually, I probably heard of it. Nah, in the UK, I would like to try ostrich burger. Don't ask me why. Because in the UK, we have Birmingham markets, and they used to say that they do ostrich burger. I don't know what camel steak is like. I didn't even know. I know they do camel hump, so I guess camel steak isn't that far. You can't have the hump when you're trying camel hump. Sorry, these jokes might just come every once in a while. Daddy jokes. I ain't got no kids, so I just say old man jokes. But no, camel steak. To tell you the truth, I haven't really tried many steaks in my life, so I guess I know if I did try a camel steak and it was like, as long as they're nice and tender, that's fine, and it tastes like a steak. You know how people say frogs' legs taste like chicken? I'm like, well, I just buy the chicken, in the end of the day, because it's bigger, But if you says, but when I says about the ostrich burger, I would like to try one because they say it's bigger, it's gamier, it's meatier, right? So I figured, you know what? Okay, yes, rich. What else did I try that was rich? When you try a chocolate and it's very overpowering because it's a rich chocolate or a rich or something. You know what I had yesterday? Someone gave me something and I couldn't forsake think of what it was. When I mean someone, I was at the food bank last week and I got a vegetable and I knew what it was, but I couldn't remember the name because it was very bitter. I think it was celeriac, right? And I thought it was like first I thought it was a sweet. Then I go, no, it's not sweet because it had that pungent smell, basically. So and then I realized what it was. It was celeriac. It just popped in my head, and I've never had celeriac, but I think the celeriac is something that you would have to do cook properly. Dubai chocolate is £10. What the hell? You know what? I bet it's is it £10 to buy it? Sorry. Never mind, it's a lot of money to buy chocolate. Sorry, a lot of money to buy Dubai chocolate. Why is it that so expensive? You know what they're saying in the UK? Oh, net zero is a good thing. Really, net zero is zeros that for our government people want get zeros, not net zeros. They want to get bare zeros by conning this country that says 22 degrees is hot like Ibiza. 22 degrees is nothing. That's like room temperature, or like if you got your radiators on. I'll put 22 degrees on someone's house, right, with the radiators, right. I've been in, let's say Dubai, India, wherever, right, a couple of years ago, 40 something, over 40 degrees. These people are crying over 20 degrees. Are you crazy? What's 20 degrees? It's like, that's nothing. It's so hot over there, you could cook an egg or a steak on your bonnet of the car. Hopefully not a car that someone's married to, but a regular car, right? Last thing I want to do is go to a car that somebody's been married to because I wouldn't want to know what the hell those stains on those cars are. Simple as that. And I wouldn't be sitting in that car either. But yeah, damn, £10 for chocolate. You know what? This country is like in the UK, right? With inflation, phew, I'm surprised. They're on about solar panels and everything like that. Oh, so do you know about the slave labor? Or they do know about that, right? But they talk about it, but they don't stop it. So they're on about. I mean, solar panels for me. I got solar panels installed from the government last year, right? They put their foot through my ceiling, so I had that covered up. I got them to plaster it. I painted over it, but as I was painting on it, I saw bits of plaster coming out. So I thought, you know what, I leave it for a bit, until I realize, what needs to be doing right. So either way, what they know, what anybody out there who's in the catering industry, I'll get back to the solar panels in a bit. Just want to tell you, right? If you ever had a slip and a fall, you don't need to go to a accident solicitor. You make sure you are with a union, and if you're paying like £5, £10 a month, right? They will not take no money out of you. Damn, tower blocks bounce off their windows and magnify the heat and setting London on fire. Okay. Yeah, the sun magnifying the heat is bouncing it off and reflecting it on something else. I'll be lucky if I get any heat in this bloody house, you know what I mean, with these bloody solar panels. What they did was they gave me the solar panels, but they never told me that in order to get back from the grid, I need to get a SEG Smart Export Guarantee form. I need to be on the grid. What the hell didn't you tell me that in the first place? I was sitting for 6 months, right, thinking, why are my bills the same or gotten more? Why are they, how the frig have they increased? If I've got the one, two, three, four, six solar panels, right? Because they never told you, oh, we give you the solar panels, but it's your job. But I can't have a grid export. It's called an export read number. They says to me, I looked online everywhere like that. You have to press the button, right, to get the number in order for them to know how much energy you're giving out. But they never gave me anything with a button to press. All it shows was the energy that's coming in, the import number, right? And I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And they says to us, you have to contact your energy provider. So I contacted them. What do they say? You have to contact the people who install the solar panels. What do they say? Oh, we only been given the one box that's put in there and there's nothing we can do. So why did you give us the box in the first place? And my energy is increasing. Take your damn solar panels back, or I'll sell them if I have to, right? And at the end of the day, right, I'm not asking for solar panels if you're going to just increase my bills, because my bills have increased since having the solar panels. And I'm says, well, I'm not paying your bill until you sort this out. If I'm giving back to the system or however that works, right, and I'm supposed to get in a cheap electric, the least you could do, right, is, help me suss it out, rather than just say, we can't do anything, they can't do anything. So why am I stuck in the middle, between left and right? You know what I mean? It just makes no sense. So I says, I'm not paying the bill until you sort it out. But no one told me, for one thing, did you already have a energy meter? For example, if I was with British Gas before the solar panels, I had an energy meter. Why didn't they say, oh, you can use that energy meter to give us the reading? I had to suss this out myself. None of them told me until I realized that, you know what, in the end of the day, it's the same system. If I know how much energy I'm giving out, that's it, simple as that. Then I know they've got their information, and that's it, fine. I just have to wait until I don't know, connected or something like that. I don't know why I'm going to spend. I'm not using my radiators and all that, so there's no point. The one thing, right? I've never trusted the sun in this country, in the UK. I don't like it because with the raining and the grey skies, and it's like the sun when it comes in this country, it's. I don't want to be in this country. The sun's like, I'm getting the fuck out of this country. Like yesterday, it was cold, or the sun didn't come out. So the sun comes out for a bit, has a little peek, and goes, maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe Spain, I know somebody, because they got a vitamin D deficiency, they actually moved to Spain because the sun is a bit more consistent, so it will help with the vitamin D. When I was in India, I was like 40 something years degrees. Sorry, 40 years. Well, that's my age. But anyway, 40 degrees. I went to the roof and they said, you're mad. I go, you don't understand. I need vitamin D, right? But they says, don't go during the peak heat. The go, you'll get roasted. So what I decided to do was take a brolly with me, just to stop the yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Every time the sun comes to this country, it's like, fuck this country, I'm gone. And it goes back to India, and then India, we get double the bloody heat because the sun's already there, right? There's another sun that says, can I join you? Because that country is shit, keeps raining. I mean, imagine the sun come to this country and it gets rained on. Sun's like, yo, how am I getting so cold, in this shitty country, with the shitty weather and all that? And they want to control the climate. You cannot control the climate of a country. How stupid and thick are these politicians that they want to control? Oh, I'm not stupid, right? I've been around scammers, right? And these people are the biggest scammers on the planet, right? I don't care what they say about fraud. They're the biggest fraudsters, right? With this net zero, right? Or we need to control zero emissions. We need to bring down the climate. Is that what you mean by weather seeding? Like bringing down the climate? How you what? You can't just turn the dial, and the sun goes down. Damn. Okay. But I don't know how you can bring the climate down of a whole country. Simple as that. No, it's not as simple as that. I don't know why I keep saying that, right? But it's like the sun comes out, right? Okay, you have all your solar panels. The solar panels I thought was it stores the energy, but I think it only depends on the day. Every day, obviously, the sun comes out daily, so you will save more energy during the day. Unless you're not connected to the grid, then you're not. There's nothing going on. It's a whole complete and utter waste of time. And I don't know why. You know what they should have done? They should have sent those so-called astronauts to the part in space where the sun exists. That would have been funny. Could you imagine them going there and they all come back and they're like, I can't see. Where are we? It was way too blind. Way too bright. Okay. Yes. 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 But zero. Sorry, net zero is like I don't know. You know, you need a lot of. Yeah, I know about that pollution. Remember, what is that they used to say back in the day? Ozone layer, all that. That's what all that is. But how many years ago was that? But they still, like, when I was in India and I was like, well, they don't give a fuck. They fucking pollute the shit out of out of that country. Some parts they don't. Like because if it's a nice like touristy area, they won't have certain pollution. But some places they will burn fucking tires and trees and all sorts of stuff. Just for like if it's a cold weather, that's the worst time in the winter. They will burn anything for heat, right? Mostly they will burn wood, right? But obviously I've seen them burn rubber tires because the rubber tires would last longer. But there's no one there to tell them that. We send some which alters, yeah. The chemicals do all that, and that's why when they say acid rain, because all the stuff that goes up in the clouds, really, it's going up into the clouds, and whatever it comes back down, it's everything's all changing and doing all its thingy. So imagine the whole world, the chemicals that we're sending up. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. India burn anything. They burn themselves if they fucking could. That is true, actually. I did go there when there was a funeral. So basically, they try and burn they burn the bodies, obviously, right? Unless you're Christian, I think then they bury it. But I'm not 100% sure of how that works in India. I'm not sure if I've seen that or something, But I saw that when they made a makeshift like a funeral box, but it's not really a box. Basically, it's bamboo sticks or whatever, and the person's in there. Then they put cow dung, what they say, which creates methane, which that they burn, and they put that around. Obviously, after it's been dried, that's how they make their coal and wood. I didn't know. Well, last time I tried to make like my room warm because we never had no central heating, and they says to me, just all you gotta do is burn the wood. I says okay, but what they never told me was you're supposed to burn the wood outside, not inside your bloody room. Because if somebody said, "Why is your room all foggy?" They didn't. I had to tell them I lit the bloody wood inside my room, and then realized that was a big major mistake because I had the fan on. So the fan's blowing all the smoke around my room, and I'm coughing like a bitch, right? So I had to run out of that room and grab that, open all my windows, let the fan run, get all that smoke out. Then they burn the bodies, and what they normally do is collect all the ashes and all the stuff, put it in a like a jar, and then they throw the remains in that river, the River Ganges, which is supposed to be a long river. I actually went there, and that stream is fast, and it's a long, long, long lake. Simple as that, right? Okay. Okay, garden pots heater. Okay, I'll look into that. I mean, candles and garden pots heater. There was this like a little bucket, right? And someone told me they go, whatever you do, because they gave me, they go, what you're supposed to do is coal. When the smoke, you burn the wood outside, the smoke clears. You got coal. You put the coal in the bucket. It's got little holes in the top, and so you get all the heat that comes through the hole and it's supposed to your room. But they says to me, you have to open your windows or something. You can't keep it contained because obviously not the smoke, the emissions it gives. I don't know if it's carbon monoxide or whatever like that. Somebody passed, died because they were cold. They did that. They put the cold. They put the thing in their room. They shut the windows because they didn't want the heat to get out, and they never woke up the next day. So obviously no one tells me this stuff. They just say, "Oh yeah, here's a bucket. All you gotta do is do that." I'm like, "Fuck that!" Luckily, I didn't know I had to do that until someone told me. They go, "No, no, no. Whatever you do, make sure. Okay, if it's a big room, at least open the window, put it close to the window because the fumes when that comes up, right, and you're asleep, right, you burn anything over there, whatever they're burning, right. What fumes is it giving out? I don't know. It could be giving out all sorts of fucked up fumes as far as as far as I know. They do have a radiator, like an oil-filled radiator, and I even had an extension that blew up on me once. I think because I don't know what the hell they do. They got, you know what? All I'm saying is I'm taking my own stuff if I ever go again, right? And I'm not going in the winter time because the winter time is the worst time because I got cold twice. I got cold twice. I got caught a cold 2 or 3 times because in the nighttime it's freaking cold, and in the daylight before this is November time, the sun will come out basically. So then that's all right. Okay, you know what? The garden pot, I'm definitely gonna check that out, and I'm gonna use that because I don't want something that's toxic. And that's what happened last time. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's how people didn't know, why they were dying until they used the smell. So what I need to know is, I don't know if it's carbon dioxide, it's something else. I don't know how that person passed, but they says because whatever it was the thing they used. It was like a bucket with holes at the top, right, and then a big hole at the bottom to put all your coal in there. And then when the fumes came up, right, I don't know how he died or what it was, right. Basically, I don't know. Who knows? This was like a few years ago. They were telling a story about. It depends what he was burning. Methane. It could have been that. That's in the compost or the cow dung, whatever like that. Basically, that's how they use their heat. The gas. They when the cow does his fucking big job, right, and they get it all together. They make like bits of coal, leave it outside in the sun to dry the crap out of it, right, and then they break it up and it catches fire nice and easily. Now, obviously, I don't know much. I might have to research this. I don't know much about methane, like what kind of what happens if you burn that and you want to. Uh, Cooking's fine, but if you're gonna use that in your room, I don't know. That's different. But I don't know about candles, like you need a bunch of candles or something. I think I prefer the other thing that you said. The heater, the pot heater. I will check that online. I did take a hot water bottle last time. You can get one over there, but I think the ones over there. No, I don't have one here. Basically, right, I did bring one over here because their hot water bottle is electric. I think it's a gel or an oil. I think it's a gel. So basically, you plug it in. It's got a dial on it. I think it's a dial just on and off. That's it. Because it's got a thermostat. It's offs and ons itself. All right, and that's the reason why that extension blew up. I remember now. I remember using that once, and I remember using. When you get that crackly sound in the electric. I think because the plug wasn't in properly, or I don't know, something not right. And I just remember smoke coming from that plug, right, and from these so-called I don't know, not hot water, but a hot gel bottle, like this small, well, half the size of a normal gel, hot water bottle, and it just frazzled up or something like that, and I had to just I said, you know what, I'm not using these anymore. Imagine, I'm sleeping and next minute there's a fire. Like last week, there was a fire. This is how stupid this country is as well, UK. The police are so stupid, right? There was a fire. I did mention this on by my home, and there were 4 or 5 people coming out the house, and I asked them because they were trying to throw a little bit of water on the fire. I says, "Has anyone phoned the fire brigade?" They didn't even speak English, but they says no. I think they understood what I said because I said police phone like this. How I communicate with these people like the deaf sign language. phone, police, drive, drive. That's how I got to communicate with these people. So they said no. So I phoned the fire brigade. Fire brigade came. I looked inside the house. There was smoke everywhere. Right, and yeah, dirt is another way. Okay, okay. They put leaves on making a nice warm bed. Oh, that sounds good though. Yeah, the leaves would be nice, like a mattress type thing, wouldn't it? So you'd sleep on the leaves, right? And the leaves would protect you from the dirt and the fire is underneath there. So basically, it would be like when they do hot coals and they run over the hot coals, it'd be like that. But then they throw dirt over it. Then they would put the leaves over it, and then they would sleep over that, obviously. But that would most likely be if they're outside, you know. But then when there was a fire last week, there was a police officer who arrived, and he kept asking them, "Oh, how many of you live here?" They couldn't answer, so he asked them again. He asked them three, four times, how many of you live here? How many of you? And they couldn't answer because they couldn't understand what the frig he was saying. So instead of him asking them, "Does anyone speak English?" he was getting fed up, and I was like, "Yeah, are you not gonna ask him? Does anyone speak English? Just ask him. If you don't want to ask him, I'll ask him. Simple as that. If you don't want to ask him, then why are you asking the same question and getting nowhere?" And then when I saw them, that wasn't even their house. They were trying to. I think what happened was they were in that house and they caused that fire. I don't know what they were doing in the house. Maybe they knew somebody in there. Because why would a old guy, an old lady? When I mean old, I don't mean like very old. I'm just saying, like someone's parents. Because I saw the kids there, right, and they all came out the house, and I says, "Your house, get everybody outside." They go, "Our house is up there." Then I was like, "Well, what the hell are you doing in this house? Why are you inside a house, right, with the kids and these parents trying to stop a fire that is gone way, 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 way?" I did speak to someone today, and they did say it was on purpose. So basically, I don't know who happened or who started it, but I do know that the people that were inside the house, I think one of the woman, she said she come to get her luggage, but her luggage was on fire because that was outside, and that's how I knew that there was something going on. So I called the fire brigade, and I saw people walking around with a camera recording that and saying, have you called the police?" I'm like, "Why are you asking me if I call the fire brigade or the police when you're on your phone? If you're going to pull out your phone, right, instead of asking someone, why don't you just phone them and ask them, there's a fire, has anybody called, just in case, instead of just recording it?" First thing I would do is, which I did, I picked up the phone, called it's weird because the fire station was 2 minutes up the road, but I think they were out and about that day because they came from the opposite direction, two of them, and they arrived and they eventually came back, simple as that. But yeah, those are the tribes, and but in India we have houses, huts, not huts. I don't live in a hut. I live in a house. Those who make shift their own, because I have seen people who make their own huts outside. Like they don't need a permit to build a house on a stretch of side road. Like if there's a kind of like travelers, but without the caravans. That's what they're like. If they're working and they got their family, because I used to see this, right, and I'd see them like they'll build a house out of like sticks, and I think what you said, leaves or something on the outside. I remember now seeing all that kind of stuff, right, and I was like, I go very, very crazy. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like on the videos, when you see people and they go, "Look at this kitty, this kitten is in trouble. Oh, look what happened. Look at the help." I'm like, "Well, hold up. Why are you going to record the pain and suffering of an animal, right? And then help it, and then put all your upload your video and say, 'Oh, this is what we did to, to help this animal and all that kind of stuff.'" Okay, you know what? Imagine you're out and about and you had your camera out and you saw it fine, but it's a bit coincidental how most of these people, when they see something, they're like, "Look at this kitty all on its own on the other side of the road, or it's stuck in a drain pipe, or it's stuck over there, or it's got this broken, or it's got that broken." Some countries, I don't want to say which one, right? I know what they do. They do stuff for views, right? Now, I had, you won't see this, but they were, I mean, yeah, on my video channel, they were like, there was a colony of, I think there was 16 cats last year. I didn't know what a colony was. You know why I didn't even know there were that many cats.
The only reason I knew is because the mother cat, my mother said, my actual mother says to me, "You see that cat is pregnant," and I thought that cat was fat, but I don't know anything about cats, What am I? But my mother knew straight away. She goes, "Yo, watch out for that cat." 2 days later, that cat gave birth to 7 kittens. Now, I did put it on my YouTube channel because I saw someone, I don't know how the cats, they were in this little crate, right? And the 7 kittens were in there. So I just did a quick little video because see, you know what they also tell you? No, no one tells you. If a mother gives birth to her kittens, you're not supposed to touch the kittens, right? And that's what I'm saying. You have to have that. You know what? Every time someone tries to help someone, right, they're gonna put it at the camera like, "Oh yeah, social media or something, blah blah blah." What's that got anything to do with it? You know what I mean? If somebody needs help, fine. And you know what I hate the most? Like I see a lot of people like into fights, right, on the social media. I mean, I've actually been, I've helped a couple of people, and I've been involved, and I've suffered the consequences. But I'm not gonna pull out my phone or whatever like that because there's no point when you're in the middle of something, or if you see somebody who needs help, right? Like on internet, YouTube, you see people getting punched, innocent people getting punched. I don't know, innocent or not, but you understand. Like if there's 5-on-1, that's what I call innocent. It's simple as that. And you see a whole gang of people just recording and watching. In the end of the day, you don't want to get involved. But if you all of you got together and help that person, the other people will back off. Because at the end of the day, it's not 5 versus 1 anymore. It's 15 versus 5. And that's their thing. Now I was telling you about those kittens. Now those kittens, there were 7 of them. I didn't know anything. I didn't know if the kittens belonged to anybody because my neighbor had a cat, so I thought it might be his. And so I went out to the doctors that day. I came back, and on the same, no, on the next day, the kittens had disappeared, right? And so I phoned the RSPCSA. They says they're hopeless. I hate the RSPCSA and I hate the vets, right? Because they don't care. They don't have the room and they don't even give you the information. Or they say, "Oh, it's the mother. The mother's job is to look after the cats." I told them there's a colony, there's 15 cats. You added another 7 kittens to that colony now, right? So how much is that? That's about 20, over 20, 21 cats that'll be. So they says, "Oh, but what happened was it took me 6 weeks to locate these kittens because in my head I needed to find them to see if they were all right." And I found after 6 weeks, I put this on my YouTube video. I found one kitten. No, there was one dead kitten I found. Right. So then I found I saw 2 kittens. One was like by the dead kitten, but its eyes were crusted shut because it never had the sleep cleaned from its eyes. So what I did was I picked that kitten, I cleaned its eyes. Sorry, the other kitten had run off. There were 2 of them, white ones, right. So anyway, so I cleaned its eyes, the crust from its eyes, and I gave him a bit of food, and I didn't know what to do because I thought, you know what, I don't want to split him from his sibling. So I did a little video after I cleaned his eyes just to see that he's all right. Because I cleaned it first, I didn't want to record it while he's half blind or whatever like that, and, because that's my point. So I put the kitten back. Then I think it was the few hours later, the other kitten came back. So it's like the other kitten was looking after this kitten. So I got the kitten, both of them this time, and I picked them up and I said, "You know what? Let's take them to the vets." But before that, the vet said, "Oh, you have to." I think no, it was the evening. So no, the vets they said you'd have to come back the next day, or we'd have to book a day. So I gave them to my little brother and sister, and they had fed them, cleaned them, washed them, and a little video of them running around, and I was happy for these 2 kittens. So I gave the kittens to the vets. The vets were not very nice to me. They were like, "Oh, like oh, you're not its owner or whatever. You don't want to take care of it. So you know what? Leave us your details and we'll let you know." I says, "You know what? You leave me your details and I'll contact you." The next day, I contacted them every day to find out about these kittens. Eventually, they said they gave them away to the RSPCSA. They're supposed to follow certain guidelines. They never followed the guidelines. They just gave them, all right? Then I found out afterwards that, oh, they only gave one. I said, "Well, where's the other one?" They go, "It died." I go, "Well, why didn't you tell me what was wrong?" They never told me. Simple as that. So I says, "You know what? I'm not going to do that again. I'm not trusting them with no kittens because I know if the kittens are under 3 months, they'd rather put them down. put them to sleep. All right, if the kitten was sick, fine. You could have told me. I would have, if I knew that, I would have, like, I don't know what I would have done, but it would have been nice to know. So, what was it? So there was one kitten left. This other kitten, I have got this. All right, this other kitten had pus in its eyes. When I worked on a farm, pigs find it very good to see any sky. Really? Oh, there was inside the thingy. And I helped the pig. We picked it up and showed this guy to him, and he freaked out. That's what I'm saying. Basically, they're like, it's foreign to them, isn't it? They've never seen something like that. And they're like foreign, like I like the kitten. When I cleaned its eyes, the crust out its eyes, it was like it looked at me and it's like, what the hell are you? You know what I mean, kind of thing. So that's why I put it back, and then we gave it. I think that might be the one that you know. I think that's the one that had passed, because if it was blind, who knows what it was eating, or could have had worms. I don't know. Till this day, the vets never told me anything. All they said was, "Oh, you didn't want to claim ownership, so we just did what we could have did." I go, "Well, you know that I was invested in these kittens." After that, there was only, so out of 7 kittens, 2 survived. One, 2 I gave to the vets. One survived, and the others, I don't know what happened to them. I think they got eaten. All right. I didn't want to say this, but I think that's what happened. When you're around a colony of cats, they are hungry. That's why I had to get in touch with somebody on Facebook. But before that, there was one black kitten left. She had pus in her eyes that she was about to blow up, like it was about to explode. Right. So I had to grab her every day, clean the pus from her eye, and put her back out with her mother. So she can, because the mother's only got one kitten that she can look after now anyway. So I kept doing that, but that bloody kitten, it was annoying, man. She gave me some exercise, to tell you that now. She was making me hard to catch her every day. So I had to find crazy ways of trying to catch, and she was on the roofs. Like if you're living in a flat and they got certain roofs on it, shed roofs, so not like second building roofs. So I'm jumping up these roofs trying to, block that end, because I know she's gonna go that way, or she's gonna go under this pile of rubbish. I put this on Facebook asking for help. People are moaning at me saying, "Oh, how dare you let that kitten live?" I go, "That's not my kitten, and that's not my house." And so basically, I rehomed with the help of somebody on Facebook 13. Oh, yeah, don't bend down, go pen. I was in there's a farm in India where they are, what are they? Cows? Yeah, cows. Yeah, I'm sure. Cows, and they, got their milk and all that, and that's how they get their so-called coal, the methane and everything like that. But basically, I rehomed 12 Kit Kats, right? And I had to trap them with a cage. I didn't even know. Someone gave me 2 cages on Facebook, and they said, "We have to trap them. I'll leave it to you," and they went off. And then I thought, hold up, I don't even know how to set up this trap. Why did you bloody give me the trap? Tell me exactly how you bait it, how they get caught, how you cover it, do all this stuff, right? But then they never told me the most important thing, right? How the hell am I supposed to set the trap up? So I had to clean the traps, and by cleaning the traps, I had to figure it out myself. So I caught, and they got rehomed, but except for this one cat that was sick. I didn't know it was sick. I heard it was sick. They put it on Facebook with the intravenous. When you're in the police, in the hospital, and you got all these intravenous feeds in your body and all that. That's what happened with one of these cats, and they took photos of it, and they put it on the Facebook, and they go, "Oh, look at this cat. Can you give us donations?" Blah blah blah. This one cat, I saw it for 3 days. I fed it for 3 days. Then it disappeared for 3 days. Within that 3 days, it disappeared. I asked someone, I go, "Listen, this cat looks very scruffy and shaggy, all right? And chickens are funny. There's a lot of chickens as well in India. Basically, they have fresh. I was telling you about the baby chicks. How they massacre them, how they kill baby male chicks. They kill them because they don't lay eggs, which is just stupid. I went to a chicken farm. They had all the chicks just growing up and just doing as they can. That's what they did. There was that one cat left, right, and it was sick. So they, I think they put it down, but they got all the money they did from they milked all the money from the people on Facebook, right? And they put the cat down, and with the thousands of pounds they had, they did whatever. If they knew any vet who knows a cat is sick that's going to die know that it's going to be put down. So they purposely took photos of it, right, which I've put online a few times, right, of it, because this cat, after 6 days, it came back to me, and that's when I put the food in the trap, put the cat in the trap, and I thought, yeah, just get an extreme makeover like those do with the reality shows. But that wasn't to be, basically, right? So that's what happened. The cat went to its went to sleep, as they say. I don't know why they say we gotta put it to sleep. It's not gonna wake up. It's just mad, simple as that. I have seen chickens, and they will. Chickens are on the attack. Have you ever seen cats and chickens play with each other? In a sense, I think certain cats, when they're grown up around them, when they're like young, then it's all right. But otherwise, they're not like that. Basically, it's see, it's nice to know that males just chase you and attack you for feeding them and their friends. If male chickens do that, it's just, at least they're adventurous. Like I said, when I saw all those little baby chicks, and I was like, that's nice. That's the way they should be, free and eating and open space, and just chilling and relaxing and doing what they do, basically, rather than here they're in a factory, whatever the hell they do, probably force feeding them and everything like that, and then until they get, is it parfait? Is that duck's liver where they just force feed all that corn in their thingy? That's just like that's something I'd see in a horror movie. Yes, cats are the cats do weird things. How you could tell a dog to roll over, to do this and to do that, right? Cats, like, they will be your friend, right, if you feed them, but they don't want nothing to do with you, then they'll bugger off, And I actually saw this one cat. It was in the night time. I didn't know they could see it in the dark. No, I did know, but I didn't know, like, how good their eyesight was. I think they got like some kind of night vision. So basically, there was this cat just looking. 10 minutes it was looking, and I was like, "What is this cat doing?" Then I realized afterwards, I heard a mouse squeak, squeak, squeak. You hear the mouse make that noise. Apparently, the cat knew the mouse was coming in and out this hole, so he was just waiting for the mouse to come out. Then it pounced on it. It caught the mouse, and then all the other kittens or cats or its siblings, basically, because this was the second generation of cats, and the third generation of kittens was the ones that were part of that litter, and it took the cat took the mouse, and all the other kittens started following it, and after for 10 to 15 minutes, I could hear this mouse squeaking, and I was like, I thought cats eat mice, but apparently they're not. They play with them, and I was like, I don't know why they play with them. I don't know, because that cat isn't playing. Sorry, that mouse isn't playing. That mouse is like, please, just finish me now. What are you doing? Because I could see all the other cats, right? They were like in a circle, and this one cat, the one that caught it, had it in its mouth, and it was just doing what it was doing, but it was dark, so obviously I didn't want to I didn't want to interrupt them. I thought, what the hell, let them have their fun, because you know what's going to happen. They were going to run away, and the cat's going to run off with the mouse in its mouth. With the mouse in the cat's mouth, right? And mouse in the cat's mouth, right? Basically, that was like a tongue twister, and then it just ran off. So let them play and do their thing, but they were like 15 minutes. I think you reckon cats can sense things, because I don't know. I think they can sense stuff. Like dogs can smell stuff, but I think how cats can sense certain things, because the way he just pounced on that mouse. Yeah, he probably saw it come in and out, right? But there was another cat, and I've also caught this on video because it was playing. Like my neighbor had I think they had work done in the house, so they had floorboards and or whatever they had thrown in the garden, and there was this cat, and I was like, what is this cat doing? It's like it was looking for something, right? And eventually I saw it. It looked under the bed, and not under the bed, under the floorboards or whatever the hell was outside, plasterboards, whatever. I think it was the floor ones. They used whatever they call them, basically, not the floorboards, but the thinner, the vinyl boards, whatever. So it caught it was already dead. There was a dead rat or a dead mouse or whatever it was, and I was like, how did this cat know it was there? because it was already dead and it was under there, and the cat could just like it was just doing whatever it was doing, looking under with his head, using his hands to find what was there, and eventually it found this dead mouse, and it just kept throwing it and then grabbing it and then throwing it and then grabbing it. Okay, that's why they like you know about the cats in it with their slit eyes, circles and slit eyes. That's why they look like, I know in the nighttime they are good, night vision. That's what I know that they got. But I know that if this was daylight when this was playing with a dead mouse or a dead rat or whatever the hell it was, I can't remember what it was. I couldn't like, I didn't want to have a look, like I saw it like that. I record that because it's not in trouble. The mouse is dead. The cat is playing. I could see it just going like that. With its claws, throwing the mouse to one side and grabbing it and throwing it to the other side. Like, but they are very dangerous as well. Cats are, because I think in Australia half the certain, I think, birds are going extinct, because they pounce and they just, you know what cats are like, they just like that basically. But it's like it's survival for them. But I didn't know that the Australians, they put them down. They actually are killing most of them basically. Okay, yeah, slit vision, man, slit vision. That's another thing I'm gonna have to check, bro. Motivational. You got some bad stuff for me to check out? You was on about that what was that thing you was on about, that heat thing? Don't worry, I'll check later on, right? And the sleep vision, I like to see like especially with these cats. But the thing is, there's only about, well, I said there are 6 cats, right? You get the odd occasional 2 to 4 cats. So imagine, right, the 12 that are rehomed, the 7 kittens, right? That would be 19 plus these 6 to 8 cats. I can't afford to feed them. My neighbors don't feed. My neighbors are thick anyway as shit. They give them fucking turkey neck or some shit. I don't know what they gave them. Last time they had a frozen, I don't know if what the hell it was, because it was frozen. I don't know if it was a frozen turkey neck or a frozen sausage, right? I was like, how you expect, it's not lollipop. Oh, monkey steals lion's baby because he's revenge for killing him. Okay, I do know that. I'll check that out. I know monkeys go a bit cannibalistic on other babies, and okay, so for a monkey to know revenge, because of a lion, then it's their brain in it. They know that's, it's revenge, and they have that kind of mentality to know that we're gonna do what to them as what they did to us. Is animals ain't stupid. I was thinking about ants. Look how small an ant is, and they work in colonies. In like they build all sorts. Basically they're like bricklayers. Like they must have like a construction worker. What is it? Ant. Like a boss telling them what to do and where to go. I've seen monkeys. When I was younger, I used to see monkeys do all sorts of crazy stuff. Eating other monkeys' babies. I know when it comes to survival, right? Put the light on. Sorry. All right, then that's a different story. Yeah. When monkeys are hungry, yeah, they build bridges from ants. Okay, and badgers. About honey badgers. Honey badgers are some crazy mofos. They are like they're not scared either, are they? I didn't know much about honey badgers until recently, basically, right? So I kind of respect honey badgers. Like don't they build dams or something like that? And bees. Look at bees. They work for the queen, not the UK queen, but they work for their own queen ant, basically. But in the UK we get the king, which nobody really kind of respects anymore, because I think he's on his own thingy. They all hug each. Okay. See, look at that. See, look at that brain, for all to hug each other to float on the river. People wouldn't do that here. Human beings would rather look out for themselves and float. They would rather say, "Nah, man, I'm not touching that guy. I'd rather just hug onto this piece of wood or something like that." You see what I'm saying? How they hug each other. What I'm saying is people need to stick together to help others, right? But they don't do that. Look at these ants and that hug together to stay afloat on a river. You know, like don't they have leaves? I've seen. I'm sure I've seen them on the leaves, and the leaves are on the river or something like that, and they like are on the leaves sometimes. You know, and I know they use leaves as well, basically to survive. Right, and so I understand that, it's that the world is the animal kingdom is just crazy. I used like underground, people are on about like outside space, whatever, basically, you know they know the bigger surface on water makes it easier to float. Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, there you go. See, I don't know how they know that. Experience or trial and error. But they're not stupid. They know all that stuff. Ants and bees. Look at bees, how they make honey, and they look after the queen because they know the queen's she's the don. The queen's the one that you gotta listen to. So obviously, look how bees work together and do all that for the one person. And I think, it's like some telepathic stuff. Look how they all communicate with each other. I was in India and they got some big friggin' hornets, and I swear to God, I said, why is that hornet carrying a knife? It's not a knife, it's a bloody stinger, you know what I mean? If a stinger gets into you that, right, I swear, when I saw a hornet, right, I said, I ain't going near that goddamn place or that room or that village if there's a hornet there, right? Because I say that hornet, that stings me, man. I'm out of here, bro. I'm leaving this country. Simple as that. That's all I'm saying. Is it fire ants, bully ants? Look how many different type of ants. And what I was saying about people worried about, they're talking about the intelligent creatures that are outside there. Yeah, tribe people are crazy. We don't even know. We don't even who they are of the good people. That's what I'm saying. You know why they're like that? Because they learn to adapt without technology. Right? Tribe people learn to adapt with what they have. That like third world countries, right, who don't have technology but have to make do with what they got. They don't have like all the stuff that we have. Some of them even create their own like medicine. I even see sometimes videos about how these people create crazy ways to fish, crazy ways to cook, crazy ways to make a home. Even what you said about the bed, like how they make a bed with the leaves and the mud and the dirt and the and all that kind of stuff. It's like nature's kitchen in a way, basically, or nature's way of nature's radiator, nature's kitchen, nature's whatever, basically that's what they have. They make use, like they don't have hammers and nails and all that kind of stuff, right? But they find ways. I've seen them make stuff out of leaves. I've seen them like stuff out of trees, like the fiber or the cotton, or I don't know, man. You know how they make those beds as well. Man, I would not go nowhere near no rainforest. No, 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 no. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Australia. I've never been Australia. I don't even want to go Australia. Nasty ass, different ass spiders up there. Oh, there people. They may say, "Oh, not all of Australia is like that." I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I'm saying if places, animals, or spiders, or whatever creepy crawlies can come from Australia and go to other countries. What makes you think I'm going to go to Australia where the stuff come into the other? You think you can't go from Australia to Sydney to New Zealand or whatever like that? They're next door to each other. I'm not going to no Australia. I ain't going to no rainforest. Those people who go to the rainforest and they want to see all this and that. They are, what I was on about? Like, there are animals, there are species that get damn desert spiders. What's that snake? Is it the viper horned snake? With the horn. Which snake I'm on about? The one that's in the desert and it hides into the sand. Basically, desert spiders are the size of a deer. I had a phobia about spiders when I was a child. If I ever saw a spider, I would run the other direction. Now, not too bad. But obviously, it's a big, dirty bastard spider. Shit myself, I'll tell you that now. You know what I mean? Basically, I'd rather be a zombie than fucking, be in a room fucking, if I had a choice, right? There's a room of spiders, they're harmful, or there's a room of zombies. You give me the fucking zombies any day. Simple as that, right? Because I'm telling you, there's no fucking way I'm not going anywhere near no spiders. That's why I've never eaten a lobster on my plate. I don't want anything that's got more than 4 legs on my plate. Simple as that. They may say, "Oh, it's all part of the experience." Nah, man, I'm not eating no damn fucking lobster. I just about eat crab, and I don't even like crab because I couldn't even. Look at is it the crabs that can like crush a walnut or something like that? There was that other thing, it's like a next lobster that can kick something with the force of a bullet, in water. And I saw it do it with the shell of a snail, I think it was, and it was a shell of something else basically. And I saw this, and I was like, these things, it's nature again at it. I mean, look, I'm gonna have to look up desert spiders as well, wolf spiders. When I heard about all the hunting spiders, and there's all these fucking, I'm there. Oh my God, jam. Because okay, so basically, that is funny. Spiders chase your shadow in the desert because they know the shadow will cool them down, and you got a desert spider. Damn. So no matter what happens, right? If as long as you got a shadow, right, you're not getting away from that spider. Simple as that. I'll tell you what I would do. I would probably walk around with a torch, make sure I don't show no kind of a shadow. But I don't know. I know I won't. I know I'd never be in a desert in the middle of the night or any other day. I remember going to a stream, right? And my cousin says, this is in India, by the way. It's like a long stream, but there are trees on either side of the stream. And they said, you got to go for a swim. I ain't been swimming in 30 years. I thought it was a shallow thing. I made the biggest mistake. I thought I was going to die. These people, my bloody cousins, all they did was sit. There was a tree on the across the path, not across this bloody stream. I mean, it wasn't that wide, right? But it's not that. It's the thing is because all the moss was on the slides. I kept slipping. I was like, help me, and I was like, I was panicking in there, and that's all I know. I was panicking in the stream, right? And they were just there drinking bottles, and they just had this string rope hanging out, So I just remember just grabbing that rope, and I told them, I go, you best pull me up, you bastards, right? And then they were like, how was that? I go, how was that? I go, I'm gonna throw you in the bloody stream. But even if I did that, I think they'd used to it by now. But that stream was the current was fast. I know that, and the stream was. It's not a river. It's a stream, because streams ain't that wide. And but the thing is, the sides, man, it was moss, and I kept slipping, man. It was like it's like the thing was made of oil or something like that, and I just kept getting, it's like the more I'm trying to get out, the worse I'm making it, and it was just shit me up, I'm not doing that. That's the one, I think. Is it the hunting spider, the one that makes a little hole? And then there was this film called Eight-Legged Freaks, and that's the one where it's like a jumping spider when they're just there, watching you, and as soon as they go, they just grab it and they pull it in there. Man, it's crazy, isn't it? Look about. Have you seen those frogs? Let's not talk about the frog, the one, not the ones that are married to people, but the normal frogs, the one, not the normal frogs, those purple ones. Those frogs with the crazy. I don't know, frogs or toads. I think they're toads. Whatever the fuck you call them. The ones with the purple-looking ones, or they got the marks on their back. And then you got people. I think it was the tribes where they used to rub the like a tip of a spear or whatever it was, right? And they'd get the poison on there, and they'd use that to go hunting. And they'd start hunting. You know what? A lot of people learn a lot of stuff. From all these animals. I mean, look at the birds. I think that's I think that's why or how they created flying. Airplanes and everything like that to begin with. So I think that's how even fish, or swans. I don't know how they created boats or whatever like that. But by nature is how I think people advanced. They must have saw that flying in the sky and said, that's how a bird flies, right? So all we know is if we make an airplane that has wings like that, then that would be it'd be a stepping stone. That's how we can eventually get there. And I don't know why they spend so much money going out the planet. But you know, look at that satellites in space. It's freaking crazy. You know what I mean? How they do all this kind of stuff. How comes when those idiots went into space, I never saw no satellites? I don't know how many satellites out there, right? But you know, I don't know, man. I still don't know about that stupid, those ditzy bloody idiots in space. You know, I mean, what was it? Some place said, "Oh, why didn't you send them back, or why did they come back?" Katy Perry or something like that. And they were like, "Oh my God, how did they? How dare they say that?" I think it was a food place or something said something about Katy Perry or something like that. I tell you what, though, all them spiders, right? Have you noticed how they keep getting worse? I saw a spider that looked like it's got fangs. When I mean fangs, I don't mean like normal spider fangs. I mean like a vampire. You know, I'm getting confused with the vampire bat and a spider. Or is it a crossbreed or something like that? Some of them, I think it could be the wolf spider, you know, and it's like this, it's called a wolf spider because it looks like the face of a wolf, you know. When I saw, I think there's a movie called The Mist. That's probably where they got ideas, where the spider's silky, you know, it's web, it's acid web. I'm like, you know what? Whether or not that's I hope that shit don't come to real life. You know how a spider has webs that's made out of acid or stuff like that. I mean, then they start like laying eggs. You know, some things do that. You know as well. They lay eggs in your body, and oh yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, another spider digs a deep hole, and insects drop in, and the spider in the hole hiding out the sand, and they jump out and throw in sand, making it. What the hell? Another spider digs a deep and big hole, and an insect drops in, and the spider in the hole hiding out the sand, and oh my shit. Okay, okay. Birds. I've seen some of that stuff. You know when I seen one. I saw one. I think on a bird. The bird was flying, and then the bird just dropped. You know, because of the spider. I don't know, like because sometimes I think they have a way of baiting these things. I know there's an animal that has something, I think, on its tail that looks like a bait, and it's I think I saw Attenborough do that. I can't remember what animal it was. It's there somewhere. Anyway, basically, its tail was like a bait, and it looks like it's the bait looks like something. I think it looks like it's for the birds. I'm sure it's for the birds. You know, and the birds think it's like another mating ritual bird thing or whatever it is, right? And that's how these birds get caught in the middle. You know, and they get fucked. You know, but I've seen those clever little fuckers. Snakes are bad. Spiders are bad. You know, man. Crocodile. Have you ever eaten crocodile meat, by the way? Or alligator meat? No, I know one's a salt water, one's a fresh water. You know, basically, a snake has a decoy spider tail. Right. Oh, right. Okay. I think that's what you're on about then. I think that's what it is. Yeah, the snake has a decoy spider tail, right? Because it has that at the end or something like that, you know. So I think that's how they do it, man. It's just like as well. You know, when you see a snake or a toad, and it's got this multicolor thing. I don't say multicultural then. Anyway, ethnic minority frogs, right? So when you see these ethnic minority frogs and they have a multicolor, right? That's that for a reason, right? They're there to warn off predator as animals to say that we are some dangerous motherfuckers, right? You don't want to come near us, and even lizards as well. Bird thinks the spider and think it's a food and gets eaten. Oh yes, that is karma, basically. I've seen birds fighting birds as well. Like I think it was a kestrel. I think I can't remember if it was a kestrel. Basically, the mother had eggs. I think the kestrel, whatever it was, I can't remember. It came. It could be a hawk. I'm not 100%. And it ate the eggs. And then the mother came and they were fighting. I think the kestrel, fought the mother and kicked it out or something like that. But I don't like spiders. And the more you keep telling me about these spiders, the more I definitely don't want to know them. I had a spider catcher once. It was a little thing. You turn it upside down and the trap closes. That's how much I hated spiders back in the day. I don't know if I got that. Yeah, I still got that trap. That's nice, right? But you know what? With the size of the spiders, you're telling me the size of dinner plates. I don't think this trap's gonna work. Let me show you this trap. I've got this trap for. Oh my gosh! I've used it for a long time. You know what? This is right. So you get the spider on the wall. You turn it around. It gets trapped. Right. The amount of dust that's on there, that's how long. I think the spiders know the story now. They don't come near that. Yeah, crocodile would be tough meat, you know. But what did you say? Ostrich burger is nice. Ostrich meat. I think I can probably get that, you know. Ostrich meat, and you said camel. I don't know where I can get camel. You could probably order it somehow. But I don't know if I would order something like that on eBay. But I bet you if I went to the right restaurant, I could probably try it, you know. I mean, like, if you say it tastes like steak, fine. I like my steaks medium rare. Not supposed to eat steak, but I'm not in that country, so it doesn't matter anyway. In India, not supposed to eat steak, but that's because the cows they use for milk, and with milk you could do so much stuff, yogurt, milk, paneer, whatever you name it, right? And methane, you got your gas. So it's either eat for us, use that for coal or whatever like that, fine, or eat burgers for a month or a week or whatever. You know what I mean? So they'd rather go for a longer time than that, you know, basically, you know. But gammon, yeah. I've had gammon before. I used to work in a restaurant, you know, and in a hotel. I used to like gammon with the egg, gammon and egg, basically, you know. Steak, maybe the fillet steak I don't like because with the fillet steak it's very big. You know, like I said, the best steak was a mistake unless it's a fillet steak because that is definitely not gonna fill it up because it's so tough. I'd rather eat my shoe. You know, that's another thing. You know how people like I was thinking about Hollywood and they keep making bloody reboot. They couldn't reboot a fucking shoe. Why they keep rebooting and remaking movies, man? You know, what's the like if I come out with something stupid, right, they'd probably do it, man. Like, oh, should we remake Terminator 69? Oh, did we release that this year? Yeah. Why don't we remake it? It's daft. You know what I mean? Coming out with they're going down the list of cartoons. You know, Ramon Crisps. No, what are they? R- 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 Ramon Crisps. I don't know what they are. I'll check them out. Are they in the UK? I always check online. Probably have to know what I'm getting at, basically. I did have a sea bass today. I remember when I cooked that once. You know what? With the skin. First, I put a bit of salt, fried it until it's nice and crispy, and then I a bit of butter on the top and all that. Put it in the oven. Then I took the skin off, and then I roasted the skin until it's nice and crispy. But obviously, fried and seasoned. Okay, I'll try that one day. Ramon crisps or something like that. There's a lot of things. What you said was about the two things now you've mentioned: camel steak, which I've never heard of, and ostrich burger. Just want to try ostrich burger. They used to have in Birmingham in the UK. They used to have a I don't know if it was just Christmas time. Certain markets where they used to make sell ostrich burgers, but I don't know if they do that anymore. I'll have to check. I heard it's very gamey. And I've tried quail. Quail is a nice curry you can have. Not a curry cow. What the hell is that mosquito pate? Man, don't talk to me about mosquitoes. I fucking hate mosquitoes, bro. When I was in India and I was a kid, the mosquitoes ate my fucking body, blood. The amount of, oh my god, I thought somebody had shot me with a Uzi, because I had like mosquito bites all over my body and it was filled with pus. But a mosquito pate, man, they come out with anything, don't they? Have you heard about that one? That is it? Where was it? Is it Sweden, where they make that nasty? It's like a fish or something that's supposed to smell like vomit or make someone hail or something. I don't know what the hell it tastes like. In Africa they're eating cats. You see what I'm saying? Certain countries. Oh, there's another one where I think there was these bees or ants. I think it was Gordon Ramsay. He was in this country. It might have been India, Asia, and they got all these. They got all these ants, and these ants are like those ants, bully ants, and they're like the ones that if they get on you, they bite you, And they were making a chutney out of these ants, and I remember they were putting all this seasoning, and Ramsay tried that, right? And I'm like, something, I don't care. All right, if I'm gonna try something, and I don't like it, I'm gonna tell you, I go, that's some nasty ass shit, that is. and I'm not gonna go near it, right? So I don't know if Gordon's just being nice or kind, right? But I'm not eating anything that's gonna bite your ass, and I'm gonna eat that. That's gonna bite you. Okay, African eating catches them. Like when you go to some, I think it's in China where they have like maggots and they have all these not maggots, like is it witchy grubs or whatever like that, like the big thick maggoty looking things, and they're like I have seen some people eat them. We get red ant in UK, they bite and bend for like. Okay, I haven't seen any. I tell you, the only ant I wouldn't say the only aunt that bites is my mother's sister. Sorry, my father's sister. That's the only aunt I know that bite and burn my ears for 2 hours. They're the different kind of red ant. But okay, I didn't know there are any red ants in the UK. They're probably in certain places. Do you know how we get most of these exotic spiders? When they bring, I was on about certain like animals or insects or spiders, whatever that come from different countries because of the goddamn fucking fruit. When we get certain fruit from different countries, they crawl into these boxes or whatever like that. They can't check over every single box, and even if they do, you can't. You can't. What you're gonna do? Check every banana, check every apple, check every orange. That's how they came here, and then when they came here, they crossbreeded with other stuff. So he's on about red ants. I think that's probably the same similar way. I don't know. But did you hear about those? I think it's. I don't know if it's a spider, basically. That's what I'm saying. A banana spider, man. Damn. Why is it called a banana spider? That's what I want to know. Is it because it's big like a banana or what, man? Man, could you imagine the size of a banana with fucking 8 legs? Fuck that, man. I ain't even going nowhere. I've heard about the banana spit, but it's banana spider. Fuck that. You know what I mean? I ain't going near no. You know what? I ain't going near no as that. That's what I'm saying. What the hell? How did a spider get into but Asda? You know what I mean? Basically, isn't there like are you trying to tell me you get fruit from a different country? You right? Okay, big as your fist. Oh fuck that shit. Yellow back. That's nasty, man. All I'm saying is right. If you're gonna import fruit from a different, okay, big as fist, yellow back and big as fist. Okay. I don't know what that is. Not a fist. Okay. No, it says in the yellow back and big as fist. See what that fist meant. But okay, but even so though, a big yellow back banana spider. Damn man, that must have hid. Okay, yeah, okay. It's smaller than that, but still, that's nasty. That's still big though. I mean, like that must have hid very well. Could you imagine having you know what I was saying, like having fruit? You just said that in Asda. Oh my gosh, look at this. The amount of all over the world what we import, right? Some of that shit is there. Among that stuff, I think there was a story of a person that bought some fruit, and they came home. There was something in there. It's like how you say it's hidden very well. Even you, if you said that thing was yellow, that's that's like a camouflage thing, and they do that as well, don't they? A lot of these. That's why people can't tell because of the camouflage. With all the technology in the world, right? I'd put most instead of sending a bunch of empty-head idiots into space, right? I'd rather bloody spend some of that money for fucking infrared, for fucking animals like that. Like insects that are dangerous that could just bite your ass and put you into like. Look, there are. I think spiders can do this as well, and snakes. Where they can congeal your blood, and your blood comes out like because it's not coagulating or something like that. I'm like, that's like. That's the stuff, right? That people would use in medicine, to do stuff for people, even oh my god, jellyfish. Damn. Okay. In Kent, right? Is it no? What was it? A stingray that killed Steve Irwin, wasn't it? And I'm like, that guy was a crocodile hunter, and for him to get bitch slapped by a stingray, because I think it's they got like a needle on their tail, So obviously it was a reaction. But some of those things, right, are like see through, like a glass. You can't, so he obviously probably didn't know. He stepped on it, So and the jellyfish. I think jellyfish are like they got those tentacles, haven't they? And I heard they're like the sting, like fucking. I don't even know what it's like. I heard someone say it's like electric, or I don't know, man. It was like someone whipping your ass or something like that. But I didn't know you'd get jellyfish in Kent. Well, I haven't been Kent in. Uh, I don't know if I've ever been to Kent. I think I've got family there. Okay, okay. So you got a bit more warm water in Kent. What is Kent like nowadays, man? Do you get a lot of Yes, no. I've never. You know what? Blackpool. I would never go into the sea there, right? And like I says to you about what's his name, Steve Irwin. The man was like he would wrestle a crocodile, right? Crocodile hunter, yeah. And everybody thought that guy was like he would take anything on. You know what I mean? He's not afraid. But the one thing that he didn't know was the one thing he couldn't see, and that was in the sea, or by the sea. You couldn't see the thing that was by the sea, and that was the stingray. I don't know if you could see it or not, or he just well, obviously he did, otherwise he wouldn't have stepped on it. Simple as that. But for that thing to just and it's like, the tail. It's got barbs on it, so if you pull something out like that, oh my god, it's like having like little hooks that are like this one, two, three. I don't know how many hooks, right? I think that's what the barb is So that's another thing I was gonna say. Look at the sea. Look at how deep the sea and the ocean in our planet goes, and we still don't know about all the animals and all the sea creatures that we've never seen. It can like how dark and black and nothing, no light whatsoever. But yet they can probably see in the dark down there. Like about that fish, with the is it the tail, and it's got that uh, you're damn right, man. Friendly shark versus crocodile, something like that. Man, if you got time, you best not tell me there's some sharks in the UK. I mean, I saw Jaws as a kid, right? I thought I'm not going to America, but you're telling me we got sharks. You know what I mean? I don't even think Jason Statham's gonna help. I don't care how many megs you got, right? The megalodon, right? The megalodon. If you got that in Kent, mate, Jason Statham, none of your ass kicking karate kicks are gonna do anything. Simple as that, right? Because I wouldn't fuck around with a shark. I seen those like I even saw something telling me they got like I don't know, man. They got like through their lifetime they got like I don't know 1,000 teeth or whatever they got, man. They got too much teeth, man. That's all I'm saying. And the teeth are like this, they like grab you like claws, That's all I'm saying. Crocodiles and sharks, those have scared me. Whales, I don't mind, because I think they're cool. But I know they're big and they can knock your ass, right? But seals, those kind of things. But sharks, even the great white whales, they can kick you, whoop your ass. I know that too. But I hope none of that shit's in. Well, if you tell me now, you know what? You're right. I don't trust the sea. The only way I can trust the sea is if I'm in a cruise ship, which I've only been on once, right? And even that was dangerous because it was on a gale force 6 or 7, right? And the whoo, yeah. The sharks saw a prawn and they ran basically. It probably saw a crocodile that identified itself as a shark or a lady shark or something like that, and or maybe they just saw some of the trans and they thought, what the fuck is this, man? You know what I mean? Sorry, mate. And the shark probably said, you know what? Out of all the things I've seen in the sea, that's gonna be the worst, right? If you're gonna be like dressed like a bloke and identify as a woman, right? And you look like that, I'd rather go back to getting pounded by the whales or something, or by the humpback whales or something like that. And you'd rather get humped by those whales than those bloody stupid animals, sorry, not the animals. Well, I say animals, I mean the trans who act like animals. There was a trans interview about the one person that says, "Oh, the UK said it's 2,000 out of 2,000 years, right now. You're saying, oh, women can't identify as men and men can't identify as women. Get the fuck out of here, man, with that bullshit. If you want to do your own, you got a sports for disabled people. Why don't you have a sports for your trans people? So that way, you trans men and trans women can be in the same sport and just fucking argue it amongst yourselves. You know what I mean? You can all fucking fight amongst each other, right? And say, but you know what? You're a trans man and I'm a trans woman. So why is it okay for a trans man to be in a woman's only sport? If it says a woman's sport, right, and a trans man, then it makes no sense. And like I said about that course, I'm thinking twice about this course now. It's a short course, but it says only women allowed to do this course, a data analyst anal system course, right? But unless you identify as a female. So hold up. So that makes no sense. If the course is for females and you identify as a female, but it's not for males, why don't I just say I identify as a bloody female? Yeah. Yes. I'm going to tell you something as well. In my country, well, I'm in the UK, but I was born in India in 78, whatever, right? Or 77, right? I came here when I was like 1, 2 years old, right? And when I went back, I used to see women, guys dressed as women. But you know why? Because they were eunuchs. That's why. They were eunuchs. That's the only reason they used to be dressed as women because they weren't like treated as men. So they used to be dressed. And even now, the only way, you know what? The only way uh, men dress as women in that country. Okay, so basically, what I'm trying to say is, you're a trans and a lesbian. Well, there you go then. You know, at least you're saying what that is. But what I'm trying to say is, in India, if you, the men who dress as women, they do that for two reasons. They do that for money because they need to survive. It's hard for people to earn a wage. You know what? In India, I'm not just saying it's India, certain with third world countries, very hard for them to earn a wage because it's you have to find one thing and stick with it. You know, like if you're gonna sell something, sell veg and that's it. Don't sell veg and meat and or whatever like that. So if people like, if you want to get milk, you go to a place they sell dairy only. You want to go to meat, you go to a sheep meat shop that does meat only. So these people, basically, they call them the eunuchs, right? They dress as women, they put up the makeup, and they go and they celebrate and act like women at weddings to part of the culture, and get everybody in on it and to say, listen, oh, this is how we used to act and sing and dance back in the day, back in the weddings, and we're doing it now because old people they can't move as like they did when they were young. You know what beatboxing is, whatever. I think Asian people came up with that. Now, I don't want people to say, oh, you just saying that. You know why I say this? When I was a child, right, and there was a wedding, every time there was a party on the night, women used to clap their hands and go, whatever. I used to see that and I said, what the hell are they doing? That was the first time I ever knew what beatboxing was. Obviously, there was a kind of rhythm, but it wasn't like they are now, how they do beatboxing. But over there, the beatboxing used to be in rhythm with their clapping, whatever. No, that's me just doing my own version now. But anyway, I think beatboxing originated from those countries because a lot of the old women used to do that, and they learned that from their grandparents or parents when they were kids, and so on and so on. So when it was a night before the wedding, obviously, as long as you're not marrying a frog, right? If you're marrying or a car, if you're marrying a normal person, right, and you're going around the fire. Anyway, before the wedding, because the women couldn't drink, so they used to have the most fun. I wouldn't say they had the most fun, but they were the most that used to dance around. Men, they'd have to drink before they start dancing and everything like that, right? And women, they just like sober as anything, and they just start dancing around and stuff like that. I can't imagine like how many what it's like in India now. I mean, like I remember my one friend was in India, and there was a woman dressed. No, it was a man dressed as a woman, but I don't know, But he started touching the guy and said, "Give me some money," and the guy was like, "Hey, cringe," I go, "What are you worried about, man? This is your country. You should know, that they like that. Why if you get your window open if you feel so offended? I'll go give them money and they'll go away in it. You know what I mean?" But he says all they do is just go like that, And I was like, if I was to give them money, I expect some kind of a show, not that kind of a show, but like if they was at a wedding and they were gonna do a dance or something like that, then fine. Some of those people who are at the weddings, they make some good money actually, and I've noticed that. I actually did dress up as a woman once. I am going to tell you now, that was a long time ago. I was a young kid. I think I was 17, and it was my cousin's wedding, and it was the three of us. I don't know. I think they were putting on a show or something like that, basically, right? And I'm not saying I identified as a female, but anyway, there was me, my nephew, and somebody else, and I was the only one that was English speaking. Well, besides my cousin, basically, right? And there was three of us, and I didn't really understand what the hell was going on because they did this little play, like a little play for everybody, you know what I mean? And it was all in Indian, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on. They said, all you gotta do is dress like you lot, right? And he'll do the rest. So I said, why not? You know what I mean? I don't care. So that's the only time I dressed as a woman. But you know what? Just because I dressed as a woman. But I do not think a man who doesn't put on any women's clothes, makeup, anything, right, to even make or try and act like he's a female, right, to say that he identifies as a female, to go and say, I want to be locked up in a female prison, just because he's afraid of being locked up and have something bad happen to him, in a male. I know I'm saying something. I don't know what he did anyway, right, to tell you the truth, right? But in the end of the day, I think that's just an excuse. You can't go around and say, "Oh, I identify as a female," even though you're not dressed as a female, right? You got no work done. You know that I thought that's what trans meant. If you had the work done right, and you said, "I want to fully be a woman," then I'd get that. But if you're just gonna be dressed in men's clothes, right, and just like not even do anything. You understand? And then just say, I identify as a woman. Why? Because just because you say something, look, I don't identify that I've got, full head of hair, because that's wrong, that's incorrect. So why am I going to say that, oh, I identify as a guy who's got a full head of hair, when I know that's not truth? And if anybody says to me, oh, why are you saying that? Because that's incorrect. There's a difference between right and wrong, and facts and no facts. You can't turn around and say, yo, oh, I've got this. Like the dumbest one, men do not have a uterus because you can't give babies, right? Now, if you were a female and you transition to a male, that's how you can have a baby, right? Because then you'd have a uterus, right? So our prime minister says that men can have a. This guy is off the reservation, And the thing is, right? He thinks that people are stupid. You understand me? Our so-called PM. I'm not even gonna call him like because he's been knighted. He doesn't. He needs to be de-knighted. You know what I mean? He's the biggest loser. Basically because all the stuff he keeps saying and doing, he's the amount of money his dumb ass government keeps spending, our tax money, right, on Sabrina Carpenter concerts. The Speaker of the House, bloody, is spending 7 million to refurbish his house. But you know what I want to do? I want to go to Parliament and say I identify as a politician, right? I identify as a member of Parliament. I won't get paid. You know what I mean? I won't go on holiday. This geezer spent £25,000 to go to Malaysia. What the fuck? I think he got confused. They said to him, "Do you want to fly to Malaysia?" And he thought they said, "Do you want to buy Malaysia?" Why would you spend 25 grand on a trip to Malaysia? He spent, I don't know how much it was, $700 in a bloody on a suitcase. Is he mad? 700. Why? And I think that he's got two members of his staff went as well. So I think he's got two members of staff to carry two sets of his suitcases, because why else would he have them? He doesn't need them, obviously, but someone has to carry his suitcase. And then you've got what's his name? The one that eats £25,000, or is it no £500,000 worth of food. I don't know what the hell he's eating. All right. Either he identifies as a hypocrite, David Lammy, right, basically, right, or something, right. At the end of the day, for his bill to be £500,000, right, on food, and then he says, oh, other countries, Africa, are starving, they need food, they need this, they need that. So all the money that you had and you spent on food, that was our money. Why didn't you give any of them? Hypocrites, and as part of that, with a capital hippo, the fucking joke, you know what I mean? So in the end of the day, they're all jokes. But anyway, I'm gonna check Banana Spider, and that thing about Asda that you said, that's gonna give me nightmares, mate. That's what I'm saying. Anyone out there, telling me that because I always heard about stories about people having fruit and says some fucking creepy crawlies in their fruit bag or whatever like that, and it's come across here. So I don't know. Basically, I don't know how that fucking happens, but I would definitely know the difference between a fucking banana and a spider, right? You got a banana and a spider, and then you got banana spider, right? And you know what? In the end of the day, right? I'd rather just not buy any bananas, and I ain't going in no fucking Asdas. And yes, people who they did used to put them in mental hospitals back in the 1800s, right? But now what they need to do is put our politicians in the fucking mental hospitals, because they are completely lost the plot. You can't identify as a llama because you're not eating grass and you're not on all fours. To identify as something, you have to be that thing, like an actor. If an actor wants to identify as himself as the character he's playing, he will put his 100% into it. Don't identify as something is you're not going to put 1% into it. You understand me? Eat grass, walk on all fours, do whatever the frig llamas do or whatever like that. And if you got a uterus, show me in it. You know what I mean? Show me when you get 9 months pregnant. Tell our bloody prime minister, right? Prove to me a man can have a uterus, right? A biological man. That's the see, and it's called biological because the word logical is in it, right? And bio, as in biology. So in the end of the day, I expect him. How do these people get these jobs? And I can't freaking get a course that gives me anything that I don't have to identify as this or that. It's mad. That's what I'm saying. So eventually, I'm going to have to go now. It's been 1 hour and 50. I didn't know I was talking for this long. I don't know anybody. I just thought I'd give it a shot. I don't. What? I'm just trying this app out. I'm trying to stream a game. What was it called? Father's Day. Yeah, I don't want that one to change the title. I identify as a mother, so you could call it Mother's Day. Basically, right? But it's with a psycho clown. And anyway, thanks for everybody. Motivational. You gave me some information that I definitely have to check. The thing about the guy, I can't remember marrying a car. I don't know what the hell that was all about, right? But the one with the Asda banana spider, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out, right? And that heat thing as well. Bloody, I should have had to put a pen and paper. I'm gonna write all that stuff down. But I know now next, what to check, because obviously I know now that I need to not burn fire and wood. Sorry, not burn fire, burn wood in my room if I want to heat it up, because it doesn't work. You find out the hard way when there's fog in your room and you're blowing it out, and it's not happening. It's not gonna work. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye, everybody.